Hi everyone, it's Dr. Nastalima. Today I'd like to talk to you about how to prepare for your inquiry draft. The first thing I recommend you do is to take a look at where you have been in this class, all of the work that you've done. So look at all of the discussions you've contributed to, all of the assignments you've submitted, and all of the notes you've taken for your own work. Then think about where we've been as a class. So moving a little bit out of just your individual work. What have your colleagues said in the discussion forums? What information have I posted in the content section that you might not have looked at before? So, for example, you only had to choose one out of 3 rubrics. What did the other rubrics look like? What do those other 15 articles about feedback look like? What do the websites I've posted look like? What are they talking about? That can help you think about the class really comprehensively. And so when you're thinking about, all right, how does my question relate to the evaluation of student writing? Well, our class kind of gives you that foundation. What is the evaluation of student writing? Okay. Then think about how does all of this relate to your specific project? And that's where the plan comes in. So I like to think about this plan as your explanation of everything you know about this project. Okay, so what are all of the ideas you have or that you found about your question, and what's the relationship between all of those ideas? So take a look at all the assignments that you have submitted. Take a look at what your research question is, why you're interested in it, and what all of your sources have been saying so far, as well as what you think is still missing. If you write about that, I think it makes your draft so much easier to do. So I recommend you do that plan now. You don't even need your sources in front of you. You can do it as you're on the bus or you have a break at work. Just kind of type it. And actually, I like to think about it like a brain dump. I'm getting everything out of my head onto the page or onto the screen. Then you're ready for the draft. And for this draft, I'd like you to keep in mind 2 key pieces. One is please do not write an introduction or a conclusion. Those, of course, are very important, but I think those are much easier to write when you're at the end of your research, when you really have some concluding ideas or some sense of what your purpose for writing is. And right now, you're maybe halfway done with the research. There's still a lot of room to grow, a lot of information to learn about. So let's just focus on the body, which is really your analysis, okay? And the second part is the structure of this essay. Remember that it's not an argument and it's not a report, right? It's an inquiry. So questions that are more like how or why really opens up the inquiry process for you, as well as the inquiry writing process. If you focus on a question like what or how has something changed, that's just a report. That's just kind of here's what it is, the end. There's not a lot of room for analysis or for your input. And if you pursue a question that's like does or should, then that turns it into an argument. And that's not what we're going for. We're trying to focus on inquiry, exploration, analysis, okay? So you have your question, your open-ended question. You have lots of great information that you're finding. I'm really enjoying reading everything you guys are writing. So when you write this draft, think about it like, what's my question and what are the answers that I'm finding? Some students have written drafts when I teach this class, in other semesters. Some students use this draft to say, here's what source A says, here's what source B says, here's what source C says. That's not what I'm asking for. And that makes it kind of dry. And again, it makes it like a report. It's not as much fun for you to write, and it's not as much fun for any of us to read, because if we wanted to read what the source said, we would just go right to the source. But if you focus on this, like, what is my question and what are the answers, that's really a lot more interesting. That shows how you personally are making sense of this question, what you're getting out of these sources that you're finding, and it helps you contribute to the conversation. This is what research is like, what scholarship is like, what academic writing and other kinds of writing are like. What information is out there? How can I bring it together and make sense of it? And how can I contribute to it? Okay, so for your draft, you're going to forget about your intro or conclusion. you're going to focus on the answers to your question. Okay? And I encourage you, of course, to post early. That gives you a chance to ask us specific questions so we can give you focused feedback. And it gives you a chance to see what your colleagues are working on to help you think more critically about your own work. And kind of on that note, I'd like to remind everyone about the grading policy. I've had a few students ask questions about it. Just a reminder, it is pretty late in the semester to be asking questions about it, but I'm happy to clarify. Remember that everything is explained in the syllabus, okay? Very generally, our class is built on a pass-fail system, and it's built on it's called a labor model. So, if you fulfill the requirements for each assignment, you pass the assignment. If you don't fulfill the requirements, you fail. That's it. That's pretty simple. If you fulfill the requirements for the major assignments, you pass them all, then that earns you a C. If you do the minimum work, you earn a C. If you do more than minimal, you'll earn more than a C. So let's say you want to earn a B. To do that, you would be posting your drafts early in the week. You'd be asking us for specific feedback. You'd be reading what other students are writing, and you would offer feedback to them. And you would revise your draft. Okay? Some students have been asking, well, I have posted a draft and submitted a final draft. Why don't I get credit for both? And without reading what other students are writing, without posting early, without offering feedback to other students, without revising, you can't earn credit for that. That would be like earning double credit for the same assignment. And unfortunately, I guess you're not that lucky. And the reason I do this is I think that the more writing you do, the more you read, the more you think about your writing, about what other students are writing, it makes you a better writer. So it kind of works out. The more work you do, the better grade you get. And that's generally the same way it works in any class at the undergraduate or graduate level. The more work you do, the better you get. If you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask. You can always ask in the I Need Help forum. You can always email me. You can do a video chat with me, and we can set up a time for a phone call. Okay? So we are winding down. We're in the home stretch. We're almost done with the class. I really can't wait to read what you guys are writing. These projects are super interesting. I'm really enjoying reading your work, and I hope you're enjoying working on it. So I look forward to reading your plans and your drafts, and I hope you guys have a great week.